There is something living inside your home that nobody ever warned you about. Not a presence you can see, not something you can point to. But if you've been feeling lately like your efforts aren't landing, like the life you've been working toward keeps drifting just slightly out of reach, like something invisible is holding a door shut that should have opened a long time ago, then what I'm about to share with you isn't just information, it's the answer to a question you've been carrying for longer than you realize. Every home has a memory, not the kind stored in photographs on the wall or in the grooves of an old wooden floor, a deeper memory, an energetic one. Every argument that was never fully resolved, every night you lay awake staring at the ceiling, chest tight, mind spinning with worries you couldn't name. Every visitor who walked through your door carrying something heavy in their heart and left it behind without even knowing it. That energy doesn't simply dissolve with time. It doesn't evaporate when you open a window or run the vacuum. It settles, it layers, it becomes part of the invisible atmosphere of your home. And over time, that invisible atmosphere begins to shape your visible life in ways most people never connect. Ancient traditions knew this. The Taoist masters of China spoke of the home as a living vessel, one that either amplifies the life force of those inside it or quietly drains it. The indigenous healers of the Americas understood that the spaces where people sleep, gather, and enter are sacred thresholds that require as much tending as the body itself. What lived in a space, they believed, lived in the people who inhabited it. Today I want to walk with you through something simple, something you can do this week, perhaps even today, using something that is most likely already sitting in your kitchen cabinet. Vinegar, white vinegar, one of the oldest cleansing agents known to human civilization. Not because of folklore, not because of superstition, because of what it actually does to the energetic field of a space. Its acidity cuts through stagnation the way a current of clean water breaks through sediment in a still pond. It dissolves what has hardened. It restores movement to what has gone still. But here is what most people miss, and why most people who try this feel nothing different afterward. The vinegar itself is not the power. It is the instrument. And an instrument in careless hands produces no music at all. I will show you exactly where to use it, exactly how to approach it, and I will also share with you the one quiet mistake that reverses the entire process and leaves your space heavier than when you began. Stay with me through every word of this, because the third place I'll reveal, the one almost no one thinks to address, may be the single most important shift you can make for your prosperity right now. If something in these opening words already feels familiar to you, like a truth you've been circling for a while, write in the comments, "I am open to receive." That single declaration, made with sincerity, is the first movement of transformation. It tells the field around you that you are no longer closed, you are ready. And if you are not yet part of this community, subscribe to Monk Orion. Hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. These teachings exist for the people who need them, and if you're here, you are one of those people. What your home has been absorbing. Let me ask you something before we go further. Think of a time you walked into someone else's home and felt immediately uncomfortable. Nothing visually wrong. No harsh words were spoken, but there was a thickness to the air, a heaviness that made you want to leave sooner than was polite. You felt something real, even though you couldn't measure it. Now consider this. The people who visit your home feel something too. The difference is, you've stopped feeling it. You've been inside that field so long that it has become your baseline, your normal. And what feels normal to us, we stop questioning. We stop trying to change it. That is the quiet danger. Because when a depleted energetic environment becomes your normal, the losses it causes become invisible. The opportunities that don't materialize, the relationships that gradually thin out, the financial decisions that seem reasonable and still somehow never accumulate into anything, the persistent low-grade exhaustion that no amount of sleep fully resolves. You attribute it to bad luck, to the economy, to your age, to the way things just are. But sometimes, more often than you'd imagine, it is simply the field, and fields can be changed. There are 3 specific locations inside your home that function as energetic command centers. When these 3 places are clear, the entire atmosphere of your home shifts. The people inside it begin to sleep differently, think differently, attract differently. I've seen it happen more times than I can recount. Not as magic, as the natural result of removing what was blocking the flow. Let us go to the first one. The first place, the threshold between your world and the world. Every home has a point where the outside ends and your life begins. That boundary is your front door, the entryway, the threshold. It sounds simple, it is anything but. This is the single most energetically active location in your entire home, and it is almost universally neglected from a spiritual standpoint, because everything that enters your life, every person, every energy, every intention, spoken or unspoken, passes through that point first, and not everything that enters carries goodwill. Think about the people who have come through your door over the years. You know the ones I mean. The friend who smiles but whose eyes carry envy. The family member who visits and somehow always leaves you feeling smaller than when they arrived. The business contact whose handshake was warm and whose intentions were not. When those people walk out, they take their visible presence with them. But the residue of what they carried, that stays. It adheres to the door frame, the floor beneath the threshold, the walls on either side of the entrance. Layer upon layer, visit upon visit, year upon year. And that residue operates like a filter, not one that blocks the bad, one that blocks the good. Because accumulated dense energy at the entry point of a home does not discriminate. It simply constricts the flow. And when flow is constricted at the entrance, prosperity cannot enter with the ease it was meant to. Have you ever worked hard, genuinely hard, and still felt like the return on that effort made no sense? Like the doors you knocked on simply didn't open the way they should have? This is often not a reflection of your capability or your worthiness. It is a reflection of a blocked entry point. Here is how you clear it. Prepare a mixture of half a liter of warm water, 5 tablespoons of white vinegar, a pinch of coarse sea salt, and if you feel cold to it, 2 or 3 dried bay leaves crumble gently between your fingers. Bay has been used across Mediterranean and indigenous traditions alike as an amplifier of intention, a plant that doesn't merely cleanse but invites. Before you touch anything, be still for a moment. Take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. Let your body arrive in the present. Bring your mind to a single image, not of what is wrong, not of what is missing, but of what you are ready to welcome. See it clearly. Feel it as already on its way. Then, with a clean white cloth, begin at the top of the outer door frame and work your way down. Then across the threshold, then up the inner frame. Move slowly. The direction matters. Always working from the outside inward, then sweeping down and away from the center of your home, as if gently escorting what doesn't belong back to where it came from. Clean the handle, the lock, the floor directly inside and outside the door. If there is a welcome mat, lift it, clean beneath it, and when you replace it, let it feel like you are setting an intention rather than placing an object. Speak if you feel moved to, not with force, quietly, under your breath. What is meant for me finds me here. What is not for me passes on. I once worked with a woman named Catherine, a retired teacher in her early 60s who had spent 3 years watching a small home-based business stall at the same point, month after month, no matter what she changed. Marketing, pricing, partnerships, nothing moved the needle. One Sunday afternoon, she cleaned her entryway with this intention and this mixture. By Tuesday, she had received 2 new client inquiries from people she'd never met. By the end of that month, her business had crossed a threshold it had not reached in 3 years. She told me afterward, with a quiet laugh, "I feel like my house finally said yes." When your threshold is clear, your life has room to receive what has been waiting for you. The second place, where you either restore or slowly unravel. Now we move to the place that holds the most intimate record of your interior life, your bedroom, not just as a room, as an energetic archive. Every night you have spent in that space has deposited something. The worry you carry to bed on a Sunday before a difficult Monday. The grief you processed quietly in the dark so no one would hear. The conversations that ended with unresolved tension. The fears that visited at 3 in the morning and sat on your chest until dawn. These are not small things, and they do not simply disappear because the sun rises and the day begins. They layer themselves into the atmosphere of that room, into the corners, into the fabric of the curtains, into the air above the bed where you exhale every night. And here is the quiet cost of that accumulation. Sleep is not merely physical rest. At its deepest levels, sleep is the period during which your energetic system repairs itself. When the field surrounding you during sleep is dense and unprocessed, that repair is compromised. You wake not restored but drained, not lighter but heavier. And you carry that weight into your day, into your decisions, into your relationships, into your capacity to perceive and receive what life is trying to offer you. Ancient Ayurvedic traditions considered the sleeping chamber sacred ground. Not in a grandiose sense, in a deeply practical one. The quality of what surrounds you while your consciousness recedes into sleep determines the quality of what you return to when it rises again. Mongolian shamanic traditions placed particular emphasis on the four corners of the sleeping space, believing that those corners either gather protection or gather disturbance, depending on how they are tended. To clear your bedroom, prepare warm water with 3 tablespoons of white vinegar per half liter. If the scent is a concern, a few drops of lavender essential oil softens it without diminishing the effect. Lavender also carries its own long tradition of calming and restoring sleeping spaces. Begin at the corners of the room, especially low, where the wall meets the floor. These are the places energy pools and accumulates most heavily. Work from the corners toward the center and out. Clean the baseboards, the legs of the bed frame, the surfaces of your nightstands, the handles of closet doors. Pay particular attention to mirrors. In many spiritual traditions, mirrors in sleeping spaces are treated with great care, not fear, but reverence. A mirror carries and amplifies what is placed before it. A mirror in a heavy energetic field amplifies that heaviness. Clean the frame thoroughly, clean the surface, and if the mirror sits directly facing the bed, consider whether that arrangement is truly serving your rest. Be thoughtful too about objects with histories that are not your own. Inherited furniture, gifts from people whose presence no longer nurtures you, old photographs of periods in your life that held more pain than peace. You do not need to remove them. Simply pass your cloth over and around them with the intention that their energetic history remains their own and does not continue to live in the air you breathe each night. A man I'll call David came to me after 2 years of what he described as sleeping but never resting. He tried every remedy, different mattresses, supplements, meditation apps. Nothing changed the fundamental quality of his sleep. His marriage had grown quiet in a way that concerned him. His work, while stable, had plateaued in a way that felt permanent. He spent one Saturday afternoon cleaning his bedroom. He did it slowly, deliberately, with the windows open and soft music playing. That night, he slept through until morning for the first time in years. Over the following weeks, he and his wife began talking again, genuinely talking. And within 2 months, he was offered a role he had quietly stopped believing would ever come. The room changed, he told me. And then somehow I changed too. Your bedroom is where you go to be renewed. Make sure what greets you there is worthy of that purpose. If you've stayed with me this far, something in you already knows that this teaching arrived at the right moment. If this channel has been bringing you value, I want to ask you something simple. Consider supporting this work with a super thanks or become a channel member to access exclusive teachings. Your support is what keeps these words reaching the people who need them. It means more than I can say. The third place, the one nobody thinks to protect. This third location surprises nearly everyone I share it with. Not because it is obscure, because it is so ordinary that we overlook its spiritual significance entirely. Your bathroom. Before you move past that word, I want you to sit with something for a moment. Water, in virtually every spiritual tradition on earth, is the symbol of abundance, flow, and renewal. From the Nile to the Ganges, to the rivers of the Cherokee and the Lakota, water has always represented the movement of life, prosperity, and blessing. Where water flows freely, life flourishes. Where water stagnates or drains away without intention, vitality follows it out. Your bathroom is the primary water channel of your home. It is where water enters and leaves constantly. And in the language of energy, that makes it the single most powerful symbol of your relationship with abundance and release. When that space is energetically clear, the current of prosperity in your life has somewhere to flow. When it is dense, stagnant, neglected, that current slows. And you begin to notice it not in the bathroom, but everywhere else. Money that disappears without clear explanation. Financial plans that never quite solidify. The persistent feeling that no matter how much arrives, it doesn't stay. Think about your bathroom honestly for a moment. Not just whether it appears clean, whether it feels clean, whether the grout in the corners holds a heaviness that no surface wipe has fully addressed, whether the drain carries an odor you've simply grown accustomed to, whether the air in that room feels genuinely clear or merely functional. To cleanse this space with the depth it requires, prepare a full cup of white vinegar, half a liter of very hot water, the juice of one fresh lemon, and a tablespoon of coarse sea salt. This combination has a dissolving power that goes beyond the physical. The lemon carries what many traditions describe as a clarifying vibration. The salt is protective. The vinegar breaks through what has become fixed. Clean every surface, and I mean every surface, not just the ones that appear dirty, the underside of the toilet lid, the base of the faucet where buildup quietly accumulates, the corners of the shower, the tiles behind the toilet, the floor beneath the toilet bowl. These are the places where the densest energy settles, because they are the places no casual cleaning ever reaches. Give special attention to the drain. The drain is, symbolically, the place of release. When it is blocked or carrying old accumulation, the symbolism is not subtle. What needs to leave your life cannot leave. Pour some of your mixture directly into the drain as you clean around it. Visualize the years of accumulation, financial stress, unresolved worry, stagnant patterns moving through and out. As you work, hold one clear intention. I release what is finished. I open to what is coming. A gentleman named Franklin, a man in his late 50s who ran a landscaping business, told me he had spent years watching money come in and immediately leave through what felt like holes he couldn't find. New equipment would break, unexpected bills would arrive. Clients would pay late or dispute invoices for reasons that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. He had tried everything practical. Tightened his budget, diversified his services. Nothing stuck. A neighbor, an older woman who had grown up in a tradition that took home energy seriously, walked through his house one afternoon and went straight to the bathroom. She handed him a bottle of white vinegar and said simply, "Start here." He cleaned it that afternoon without much belief. Within 3 weeks, a long overdue invoice was paid in full, one he had mentally written off. A commercial contract appeared from a referral he'd made years ago and forgotten. By the end of that quarter, his business had its most stable financial month in 5 years. "I don't fully understand it," he told me, But I stopped asking why and started asking, what else needs to be cleaned? Your bathroom is not just where the body is cleansed. It is where your home processes and releases everything that no longer belongs. Honor it accordingly. The mistake that undoes everything. Before you close this teaching and go to work, I need to give you something just as important as what I've already shared. There is a mistake, quiet, easy to make, almost universal among those who attempt this kind of work for the first time, that doesn't just reduce the effectiveness of the cleansing, it inverts it. It can leave your space carrying something heavier than what was there before. The mistake is beginning before you are still. Vinegar, as a cleansing agent, is absorptive by nature. It pulls from the field around it as it works. When the person applying it carries agitation, frustration, desperation, or scattered energy in their body, that becomes part of the mixture being spread across your walls, your floors, your thresholds. You are not just cleaning a surface, you are transmitting your state into that surface. This is why the preparation, the internal preparation, is not optional. It is not spiritual decoration. It is the actual mechanism by which this works. Before you touch anything, stop for 5 full minutes. Sit. Breathe slowly and consciously, not forcing anything, simply arriving in your own body. Let the noise of the day settle. Set an intention that is forward-looking, not backward-gazing. Not what you want to get rid of, what you want to welcome. Also, always prepare your mixture fresh. Never use vinegar that has been sitting mixed from a previous session. The moment it is prepared, it begins absorbing. By the following day, it has already gathered what was in the air. Prepare it just before you begin. And when you are finished, pour out what remains with gratitude, but pour it out. Do not let it sit in the house. Finally, close the process with intention. When the cleaning is complete, open windows and allow fresh air to move through for at least 10 minutes. Then, either light a white candle or burn an incense that carries a cleansing quality. Rosemary, sandalwood, or palo santo are all deeply aligned with this kind of work. Walk slowly through the same spaces you cleaned. Let the smoke or the light move through the air you've cleared. This is not ceremony for its own sake. This is the act of sealing what you've opened, of saying to the space, this is your new state, hold it. Without disclosing, the space remains open in an unanchored way, and open, unanchored spaces attract whatever passes through. Seal the work, give it a foundation. The glass ritual. As a companion practice to everything I've shared, I want to offer you something that requires almost nothing and returns a great deal. Find a simple glass, clear, transparent, nothing decorative or complex. Fill it halfway with white vinegar. Then add 3 tablespoons of coarse sea salt, one at a time, slowly. As each spoonful dissolves into the vinegar, let it represent something specific. A financial block you are ready to release, a pattern you are ready to end, a weight you have carried long enough. Feel each one as it enters the glass. Let there be intention behind each movement. Place the glass in the area of your home where tension tends to gather most, where arguments tend to find their footing, where the air feels thickest when you stand in it. Leave it there, uncovered, undisturbed, for exactly 24 hours. Do not move it, do not cover it, let it work. Watch it if you feel drawn to, if you see bubbles forming, if the salt rises rather than settles, if the liquid shifts in color or clarity. These are signs that the glass is actively pulling from the field around it, absorbing what your eyes cannot see, but your nervous system has been responding to for a long time. After 24 hours, pick it up with care. Thank it genuinely, as you would thank anyone who took on something difficult on your behalf. Carry it to the sink or to an outdoor space away from your home and pour it out. Rinse the glass thoroughly before using it for anything else. Many people who have done this simple practice report changes that arrive before they expect them. A heaviness in the house that simply lifts. A night of sleep that feels different from the one before. A conversation that resolves something which had been frozen for months. A call they had stopped expecting. Not because a glass of vinegar contains magic, but because intention, placed deliberately into an absorptive medium within the space where your life unfolds, creates movement. And movement is all that prosperity has ever needed from you. For those who have arrived here, if you are reading these final words, something brought you here that was not accidental. You have been carrying something, a sense that life owes you more than it's been giving. A feeling of being overlooked, blocked, invisible to the very abundance you work toward. A quiet exhaustion that you couldn't explain to anyone else because on the outside things looked fine. What I want you to understand before you close this teaching is this. The home you live in is not just shelter. It is a living extension of your inner world. It holds what you hold. It reflects what you carry. And it has the capacity to support your healing, your prosperity, your peace, or to quietly, imperceptibly work against them. You have the power to change that, not through elaborate ritual, not through expense or expertise, through attention, through intention, through the simple sacred act of tending the spaces where your life actually happens. The door, begin there if you feel that what is meant for you cannot seem to find its way in. The bedroom, begin there if you have forgotten what it feels like to wake up restored. The bathroom, begin there if money and opportunity seem to arrive briefly and leave without explanation. And do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one in which you decide. Whatever changes you feel in the days and weeks after you do this work, I want to hear about them. Come back here, write in the comments, Vinegar opened the channel and abundance is flowing in my life. Your words will become the testimony that gives someone else the courage to begin. That is how this kind of wisdom travels, person to person, life to life. If this teaching landed in your heart today, share it with someone you love who is going through a hard season. Not because you want to give them a task, but because sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another person is the simple reminder that change is possible. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Come back to this community, because what we are building here together is not just a collection of videos. It is a living space of transformation for every person who arrives here ready to receive. Your home is listening, your life is responsive, and the next chapter of what is possible for you may begin with something as humble, as ancient, and as quietly powerful as a bottle of vinegar and a heart that is finally ready to let what is finished go. Until we meet again.